This should be a short meeting.
Yeah, it should. All right, we are on. We can start by rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now,
Madam Chair, I would move that we seal the minutes of the non-public meeting that was just concluded until such time as majority of the Board of Selectmen feel it is wise and prudent to unseal them.
Second?
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Next, we do have some people in the audience, so I'm going to jump a little bit, and I would like to go to the fire rescue station update, and I'd like to start with FSC.
Madam Chair, do you mind if I just do the minutes approval really fast, because I think we'll forget them if we don't do it?
Okay,
I would move to approve the Selectmen's non-public and public meeting minutes dated October 15th, 2018.
Second.
second by Larry. All in favor? Aye.
I would also move to approve the Selectmen's non-public and public meeting minutes dated October 16, 2018.
Second.
Second by Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would also move to approve the Selectmen's non-public and public meeting minutes dated October 22nd, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so SFC, yes, please?
Just put it away.
Just state for the record who you are and,
Hi, my name is Jeff Murphy. I'm a principal engineer at SFC Engineering in Wyndham.
and if you can give us an update?
Sure. So relative to the fire station, we have some good news. Late last week, Wednesday afternoon, the building received its temporary certificate of occupancy, allowing the fire chief to start moving in. I believe he's doing that slowly over the last few days, and I think I heard tonight, looking to put the fire trucks in there by the week's end. So that's great news. All the parties got together and did a final walkthrough, identifying some final punch list items that need to be resolved to close out that temporary into a final. And a corrective action plan was prepared to do that, and was circulated to all the stakeholders, including the Board of Selectmen. It has been signed off by the construction manager, the fire chief, and the town building official. So it is ready for your board's signature as well, too.
So I would move that the board sign that list so that we can move forward.
A specific or all members of the board?
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, good catch. I would move on behalf of the board for the chair or designated chair to sign.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And you need EOC signature as well?
There is still a blank for the emergency management as well, too.
Are you, Larry, are you prepared to sign that
Yeah.
tonight? Okay, excellent. All right. Okay, and our construction manager, that's everything, right?
That's all the critical path? Yep.
Perfect. Construction manager, do you have anything to add with this?
That sums it up.
Okay, excellent.
Yep.
All right, let's see, Comcast, need authorization to sign. You have something, Matt?
Oh, I was just gonna, are we gonna go back to the sprinkler?
Oh, yeah, there is one other thing, the sprinkler. We do want to address that or disseminate.
So I mean, as I do for the folks at home, the millions of viewers we have, I always like to kind of summarize here. So what we're signing here is essentially a punch list, the last bit of items to get us in there. But at the same time, as Jeff is going to tell us, one of the reasons Jeff was hired is there is I would say a major compliance issue that we were made aware of recently that unfortunately is going to have to be part of the project plan, but it's not going to hold us up from moving in, but, so that's why I brought up this sprinkler issue.
Absolutely. So the building currently has a partial sprinkler system. And out of the state fire code, all fire stations are required to have a fully compliant NFPA 13 sprinkler system. So parts of that system are installed, however, additional equipment is needed to bring it into compliance. Of those include a fire pump, which is a long lead time item, typically 8 to 12 weeks. So due to the timeline and the winter coming and discussions with all the stakeholders, including representatives from the State Fire Marshal's Office, a program has been designed and is part of that corrective action plan to have that system installed and in service by August 31st of next year. The hope would be done sooner, but we wanted to make sure it was an achievable goal. I met with Mike and worked to put those dates together. So there's some design work that needs to be done and some equipment that needs to be ordered, and quite a bit of coordination with other trades to get that system in. So I would recommend the board start that process sooner rather than later, and then we can work out the lead times and when equipment comes in, because the winter will affect the ability to finish that work. So you're probably looking at the springtime to do the construction, but we can get the design work done and get equipment specified prior to that, so that you're ready to hit the ground running when the ground thaws.
Thank you. Anybody have anything else? Yes.
Still about the sprinkler system. I'm going to add to that so that there's no misconception or gray areas on why we are at this particular crossroads of the fire sprinkler system. So I am not collateral damage. We installed that sprinkler system based upon many conversations for 3 years with, I won't use names, so we'll say departments here in town. And those departments assured us right along that this sprinkler system would be accepted. We found out recently that those departments did not do what they were supposed to do and pursue a waiver. That is why we are in this situation. Just want to make sure that's perfectly clear and everybody is painfully aware of where the ball got dropped.
So in a nutshell, it was anticipated the system that's there would receive a waiver,
It
and
was told to me multiple times that the system that's in there would receive the waiver and it would be fine.
we are now at a point where we know that waiver is not likely to
It's
happen.
never coming.
Which is why we are
It
now
was
taking.
never asked for.
And,
Very important that that topic does not get forgotten.
and I think it's also important to note that discussions with the fire marshal's office also indicated that it's not likely to happen.
Oh, it's not, I mean, Jeff can comment that directly.
I had some verbal conversations with representatives of the fire marshal's office, and it was relayed to me that it was highly unlikely that it would be granted. They are not going to say no without seeing all the information, but that we did not, the gentleman I talked to did not see that we had any cause to justify that it was a new building and it should meet the standards.
Okay, thank you.
So I mean, it's not obviously, what the construction managers just said, that's noted as far as I'm concerned. It won't be forgotten in the works here. I think the board, though, would agree with me, the focus now is getting this done, getting it compliant. In case the people missed it earlier when Jeff was speaking, this isn't going to prevent us from moving in. Even though it's a long lead item, we're still going to be able to move in and use the fire station. We just need to make sure our plan is underway and meets all the requirements to get ready to do something in the springtime, and then by August 31st of next year, we do have to have that compliant. But I mean, it is what it is right now. We do, sort of the million-dollar question, so to speak, is how much is this going to cost? And whether we have the money left from the project. Because I think we can agree, as it stands right now, this is an out-of-scope cost based on what we move forward with the voters for the construction project. So I don't know if Jeff or Mike, you have any sort of round numbers you can share with us tonight so that people are aware.
Yeah, these are just budgetary numbers,
Yeah.
because again,
Yeah.
Jeff needs to do a design, but he's done on his aspect of stuff that needs to be supplied.
Right.
And the water supply, you're gonna be in the vicinity of 150.
So the, currently, and I don't think you've turned in the final tally yet on the bond project and stuff. What is that looking like right now?
Yeah, I don't have a tally, because we still have, we're doing modifications, stuff that the chief wants, things of that nature. We did pave the parking, finished through the top paving last week, so that aspect is done and finished.
Yeah.
Right along, I've been hoping that I would have a surplus of around 200. I think we're gonna be maybe that $1.50.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, and I won't probably revisit this again after this, that's due to the hard work of subs and my guys, that money is surplus at the end of this project. Because on top of that, we did $100,000 of work that was not anticipated, that was future stuff for the fire department.
So I mean, that's appreciated, you.
I'm not looking for the appreciation. I just,
Yeah.
it was just, I want to make sure that it's known that a lot of guys worked hard on that to make sure that funds were saved.
And that's what I'm saying, it's appreciated, we appreciate you and the subs and all that, because you said right through this thing, we would come in under budget.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
it
and we
looks like
have.
we will. Unfortunately, this, as far as I'm concerned, is out of scope. We're going to have to use that to pay for it. So I think we still will be able to come under budget, but it's not going to be as much of a surplus as we would have hoped had we not had to go through this. So,
that's correct. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, so now we're on to the Comcast need authorization. And Jeff, if you want to stay and listen, feel free, but I don't think we have any other needs from you.
So if you guys, pleasure of the board, and here, if you think you're gonna circle back, or,
Nope,
okay?
I think we're good, thank you.
thank you.
Do you want me to take that and get that as part of the final documentation?
Yeah, you said, yep, it's signed.
Need a copy.
Oh, you need a
Oh,
copy?
we just need a photocopy.
You want one now?
Can you scan it to us?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I'll get it back to you, and then I'll.
That'll work.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
If you need the originals, I can put them in the mail too, but I just wanna get it for my records.
Scanned copy sufficient,
that's
correct?
fine.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, so now, Fire Rescue Station Comcast authorization to sign move agreement.
So basically, what we're at the point where we can now take the, there were like 5 phone lines that we're talking about, 4 of them for EOC that are owned by Seabrook, and then we have the 8811 that's owned by us. So they are now being under Earthlink/Windstream. In order to get them moved over to Comcast, Comcast we need to sign some agreement. So once they get the paperwork to us, so we could have authorize Nancy to sign for us, we don't have to wait, we can get that process moving quicker.
This is a contract, though?
It's an agreement to move the phone lines.
All right,
I will move that we pre-authorize the chair, the vice chair, or the EOC person, whomever has to sign each.
Whoever can get here first.
Exactly. Well, I assume the EOC has to sign for the EOC lines.
No, those are owned by
one signature.
Seabrook. Actually, the only one we have to sign for is 8811, 382, 8811. The
Okay.
Seabrook ones, there's a different person
In
that
that
has to
case, I
sign.
would authorize either the chair or the vice chair sign that as soon as the document arrives so that it can be expedited.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion?
Or the town administrator, doesn't matter, it's a phone line.
Yeah, it's still an agreement, so
Okay.
I do think that a selectman should
Okay.
sign. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Next, we have the memo from the bookkeeper.
That's to sign that, the change order that you requested for services from, so this way here, she has some kind of direction on what to pay.
And we just need to sign that change order?
You've read her memo,
Mhm.
Yes.
then if that's it.
I think that never got made public, and that's why we're in this position right now. 2,500 was approved by the board, there was an agreement. She received that because that became public. Right? Am I talking about the right thing?
Yes, now, did we
Yeah.
get an updated agreement?
Yes,
He provided one for tonight for you to sign, and you need to make that public so that she can pay.
Now,
because-
is that the,
That was for the past work you just did.
was that the paperwork we just signed?
no.
No, I didn't think so.
SFC.
Oh, right here, the
Change order?
SFC change order. So I just need a motion to sign the change order for that amount?
Lisa, I think you need to explain a little bit so it's in the minutes.
Yeah, and that'll be in the discussion. But this is, we had contracted SFC Engineering to do some engineering work for us in coordination for the fire station. Originally contracted for 2,500. We then extended the services that we wanted to use them for, and we changed it to be up to $10,000.
Move to sign the change order.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Do we know where it's coming out of?
This is coming out of the bond,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
and it's being paid to SFFC Engineering
SFC Engineering, correct.
Services. Okay.
Yep.
all right.
And,
I'll put all that in the motion, okay?
yep, and who, is the vice chair authorized to sign the agreement?
Motion was,
Yes.
The motion?
That's
That's
standard,
the-
we're doing it at this meeting.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. All right, next we have construction manager continuation from September 18th requesting resolution.
I'll just do a quick recap. Back in September 18th, I came in front of the board and gave you information that you guys had not seen prior to that evening. So at the conclusion of that, you were going to look at the documentation, communications that I presented to you, and that we were going to come back here and you were going to give me your conclusion on the ethical behavior of Selectman Foote. And I am here tonight to find out what that determination was from the Board of Selectmen.
Does anyone want to provide any comments?
I mean, the only thing I will say is I read those texts. I personally felt as though those texts were inappropriate for someone who's an elected official, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody else?
And, well, the other thing is that there isn't a lot that the board can do. It's not like the board can discipline another board member. We don't have that authority. If the thought was to remove a board member, that would have to go in front of the state, not in front of us. But I would have to agree with Matt by looking at the exchanges that had been provided. It was very unprofessional. And hopefully, we won't be seeing that type of communication in the future.
Okay, fair enough.
I will agree that it may not have been the most professional thing in the world. However, this is small town. I'm certain that every single person at this table at one time or another has said something that they later regretted. I think an apology is appropriate. However, it doesn't rise to the level of censure. It certainly doesn't rise to the level of removability from office. An apology, I believe, would be appropriate.
But cannot be forced.
Well, I believe an apology would be appropriate, period. No, we can't force anything. There's an awful lot we cannot do. However, in this day and age, we have politicians who insist on tweeting or texting. And there's a reason that I'm not found on Facebook anymore, because I find it very frustrating.
Right, so.
Well, and I appreciate all three of your comments, and here's my rebuttal to that is, Jim, you're right, this is a small town. Everybody kind of knows everybody's business. That's why it's, regretfully in some situations, but that's why it's doubly painful for me. One, I try to do the best I can for this town. I have right along. And and this wasn't a one-case situation. You said a minute ago, we all have in the past, and I know I have, I'm not blameless from this. I'll blurt something out or do something in the spur of the moment and regret it afterwards. But this was multiple times, over weeks and weeks. This was not a one-shot deal. And it doesn't just carry into my position here in the town. This carries into a business that I've run for 38 years. I have never not paid a subcontractor. I have never unprofessionally pushed a subcontractor around, not one time. I pride myself in paying my bills and working with subs and getting jobs done. And it was illustrated through Selectman Foote that I was just the opposite. So I take it personal on both levels. One is a construction contractor, and two is an elected town official. And at the least, I want my name completely cleared from any of those allegations that were made. How that happens, I don't know. And if the board's telling me tonight that the jurisdiction doesn't rest on you, then I will go to a high authority at the state.
And I can say we don't have.
And that's fine.
Any
If you
remedies that
have
we
no
can do.
jurisdiction over it, and you guys have reviewed it, you've shared with me your personal comments on the conduct. And I won't,
The only power that the Board of Selectmen has is the power to censure. That is, it's a paper punishment. We cannot require that somebody apologize. We cannot, just as we cannot require somebody to recuse themselves. In our dealings with our fellow selectmen, we have absolutely no authority. You know, we have a chair and a vice chair to run a meeting. However, that is the limitation of their power. If somebody comes in with a horrendously egregious situation of, Mr. Beryl, shot somebody on the front, then we'd have some ability to react, but you would have to be at the felonious level. On something like this, we have no power.
But even felonious, we could not remove.
Well, yeah, we
Mis-
don't, we don't have the power to remove. We don't have the power to silence anybody.
Or discipline anyone.
And don't forget, this involves Chairman Donovan, who again is missing tonight because this was on the agenda. So if I go, he's going along with me.
Mr. Donovan is,
Those were texts to Mr. Donovan.
Mr.
and referred to
Donovan
a
is
lot of the phone
absent.
calls.
But I just want to clarify that Mr. Donovan is absent due to illness, not due to items on the agenda.
That I doubt.
Well, again, I just stand here, I'm not picking sides. I'm here solely for one reason, is to clear my name from any of those allegations.
Well, I can tell you that personally, as a selectman, I have seen nothing but professionalism from you and you providing the services that we have hired you for to our satisfaction.
And I'm pleased to hear that. And I will tell you, you've answered my question. I came here for closure on your end. If I go to a higher level, you guys will be aware of it, and it will not be a surprise.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I agree with Ms. Gagne. You know, you have done exemplary work. There have been some hiccups along the way. However, you know, like I said the last time on September 18th, everybody's sitting at this table and actually looking out, everybody's sitting in the audience this evening. We are all working for the town of Newton. Sometimes personalities cross, sometimes people don't get along as well as we'd like them to. That's the aspect that is small town politics. You know, if you look at the people in this room with a couple of missing people, you have the people who do the work of the town.
All right, so.
We try to get
Sorry.
along as well as possible. It doesn't always happen.
Absolutely doesn't.
That's why I would like to see a public apology issued, but I cannot force it.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
I would encourage the same thing, and I would just say, for the record, I said earlier, I thought those comments were inappropriate because I don't see any evidence of any wrongdoing too. And I think what Jim's getting at, the board would have done something had we, you know, at that point, you would have seen some action by the board.
But this
So-
revolves around many people, not just us two. It involves the people that were mentioned earlier, that I'm not mentioning names, and the missing people it involves. If you, and I apologize at the last meeting that the language was inappropriate, but I'm not apologizing for some of the accusations that were made because a lot of it was on a phone conversation and my replies were in text. And that individual, we've had 3 meetings, hasn't showed up for one of them. So it is what it is.
But and I'm gonna leave the podium because I don't want to get into a rock fight tonight. I'm not
And
doing
neither
it.
do I.
I'm not doing it. The allegations I'm concerned of are the ones directed solely to me. Whether other stuff went on, I don't care. They're the ones that solely affect me.
The only thing we can tell you as a board is that the comments and/or allegations that were sent or spoken about you are not shared by the board.
And I am happy to hear that because I can see that you are not condoning the behavior of Selectman Foote.
All right, so I don't
Okay,
think we
thank
can
you.
add anything else to this, so I'd like to move on. Thank you. Our next item is transfer station, brush from neighboring towns. I did see a memo about this.
Yes, Pete Gagnon Transfer Station. Just looking for another revenue source for the transfer station. Have huge brush pile, clean wood pile, and the log pile, which we cannot burn. And if we do get revenue from the out-of-towners bringing in their brush, charging them, and this is just estimates on what we could charge, I think that could pay for the chipping and the hauling to have it all taken out and not have to worry about the ash and dirt buildup and keep it nice and clean down there.
And what neighboring towns are you anticipating taking part in this?
Just the three that we take now, Kingston, East Kingston, and Southampton.
So Kingston, East Kingston, Southampton, refresh my memory, so we allow them to come and bring like bulk items?
Yep, bulk items, construction debris, and
But no brush.
electronics.
No
No
brush
trash,
yet.
no yard waste
Yeah.
as of right now.
So I mean, we have some sort of a relationship with them, so.
Now, out of all of the piles or stations, if you will, at the transfer station, we have obviously the brush pile, and we'll exclude household waste as part of it, because we know that won't be neighboring towns. But we have brush pile. Now, what about, and you said they do the construction debris, which is another area. We have a metal pile. Do they currently
They can
bring metal?
Metal items, yes.
So is the brush the only area, other than household waste itself, that they do not currently bring in for a fee?
Brush, compost, and the commingled recycling, they do not bring in anything for.
Okay. And is there any reason why we would not want to open up those areas to them as well?
The commingled, we don't make any money on. We just pay for the hauling, and that's really it. The compost, we could, that would be a revenue service, but eventually we're gonna run out of room. A lot of people don't take the compost anymore. It's not 100% clean, it needs to be screened. So that is why, as I wrote down here, if taking the brush goes very well and we do get a good revenue stream, we could open it up to the compost and maybe after a little bit possibly sell it back, but again, it's not 100% clean, and I don't know how that would work out.
I do think, I don't want to kind of complicate this idea, because I think time's of the essence in a way, right? Because this is kind of the cleanup time of year for people.
I was thinking of implementing this after the wintertime.
Okay,
Right now, the brush pile is too huge. I couldn't take other towns right now.
okay, okay,
So you're thinking along springtime,
okay.
March, April.
spring cleanup? Okay.
Pete, can you come up with some numbers for us on what it costs to have somebody come in and chip them and haul?
I called 4 different places today to get estimates, and I didn't get any back. I am waiting on estimates. I was hoping to have those numbers here tonight.
Pete, our road agent has something he wants to share?
Diane had mentioned this to me a week or so ago, that this topic was coming up. 2 parts. One, I would be ecstatic if those numbers work out. Because right now, I'm the agent in town that has the commercial burn permit. So I unfortunately have to go down there once or twice a year and burn that monstrous pile. I've run the numbers. You're gonna be about $5,000 a year to come in with a chipper and take the material out. Now, I don't know what Pete's pay index was for the abutting towns, but I'm just gonna strongly recommend you crunch those numbers, because it's a lot of loads of brush coming in to cover a $5,000 chipping bill.
And that 5,000, we would need to know how big of a load, if you will, that $5,000 chipping.
Yeah, and
do.
quantizing the brush is gonna be a tough thing to do, and,
But it's the only way to crunch the number.
well, it is. No, you're correct, but, I mean, how are you gonna disseminate between the loads coming in from the 3 abutting towns, what they're paying, and then, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I only took on the burning of that brush pile to save the taxpayers in Newton the cost of chipping it. I have no love to go in there twice a year and spend 20 hours burning that brush pile, trust me. I don't, and if it can be taken out of my hands, I'm good with it. But I just caution you, make sure the numbers work, because it's an expensive endeavor, and that's why we started burning it. We were crushing it, but we were crushing it when chips were a commodity that could be sold for the power plants and stuff like that. Now the chip market has gone completely a different direction, and they're not making as much money on the chips, so they're getting it from the chipper, and it's not cheap. Just
Yep.
My 5 cents.
And I agree, we need to crunch the
work the
numbers
numbers.
to make sure.
Yeah.
Just one question before you leave, Mike. I know at one time, they were actually buying chips, and then for a long time, they would come, you didn't pay.
Correct.
You didn't get anything back.
No, and that's when the chip market, the chip market, and it's not a great analogy, the chip market's like the steel business. At times, steel is worth, $100 a pound processed, or $100 a ton processed. And then there's other times, because other countries want it, or there's a demand for it, might go up to 500 or 600 ton for it. So, but you're gonna be at the mercy of the commodity user on when the chip market goes up and down, and you're gonna pay for it depending on what the market bears at the time.
Okay, I just figured I'd find out.
But I will tell you, if there's a way those numbers work,
Yeah,
and I don't have to burn brush, I'm good.
okay. One final comment for Pete, you might want to check with CBI.
Yes, Terex CBI is one of the companies I contacted, and
Okay.
I'm waiting for a call
Well,
back.
they're always looking, I mean,
Yeah, I heard
they've
they,
done some nice things for the town in the past.
Absolutely.
And they're always looking for ways of being proactively community involved. So it may be something that they may want to do a video in the spring of one of their machines crushing a large quantity of brush, and they would find a sort,
yeah, and
they would,
I'm hoping that would be what would
Yeah,
happen, but
but
again, I'm
this
waiting.
is also Terex and not CBI specifically anymore, so
well,
is the new
it's
company?
Terex, however, CBI is still technically CBI. They're a division of Terex.
Yeah. I'm just saying how CBI was in the past when they were just CBI as opposed to a division of. It may be different now.
No, actually, some of this was within the past 6 or 8 months.
Okay.
So I think the moral of the story is that you'll bring us some more information, Pete.
Absolutely.
And then, but I think the board generally thinks it's a good idea as long as the numbers line up. So we'd like to hear more about
Yeah,
it.
I hear that the board is encouraging you to pursue more information to come back to the board with, to see whether or not it is a feasible option. But we are definitely open to the idea.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Do I burn what's there, or do we wait for an answer?
Burn.
Burn, baby, burn.
I hear that pile is quite large right now, so I think burning would be a really good idea.
You're twice a year. What is it normally this time of year and then in the spring?
Yeah, depending on what we have for a spring cleanup, it can grow rapidly.
So I saw the pile this weekend, and it's a pretty big pile right now, so we should probably burn it. I don't think we should wait. Business as usual.
And that's because even if we do decide to go, the numbers work out and we decide to go with the chipper route, we would actually need to start bringing in the out-of-town brush and collecting the funds in order to pay for the chipper, which means we probably wouldn't be able to start paying to chip until fall of next year.
And it's something that we would have to anticipate for budgetary purposes, because even if we did charge and accept, we don't have the authority to expend
Exactly.
except through the budget or through separate warrant article.
So business as usual
Yes.
until it's not. Yeah.
It's a great idea, run with it, bring us some more numbers, and, when we're doing budgets, you might want to, once you find out the cost, you may want to find that in your budget and identify it so that we can use a revolving account to pay for it.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
basically, don't wait till spring to come back to us.
Now, hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have some more numbers for you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, our next item, police, release of property.
Evening, Board. Mike Jewett, Police Chief. I guess I'll kind of explain my appearance as well. I've got a little bit of a beard going. That's for a charity that we're doing the PD does every October for the Child Advocacy Center. I don't want my millions of viewers at home seeing that I've got a slight beard, so.
Very civic.
Is that what that is?
That's what this is, yes, it's a slight
Okay.
beard,
I thought it was a 5 o'clock shadow.
And how long you been going this?
like 3 days.
That's it, oh, okay.
He wishes.
So I've got two things for the board tonight. One of the ones is destruction or disposal of some property that we've had at the PD. I've been at the PD since 2002. I can tell you that in our evidence room, we don't have a huge evidence room, but we are still holding stuff that was prior to the start of my tenure. Currently, right now, I've looked at it, and we're trying to get rid of some of the stuff that we have to eliminate some of the liability of holding on to things. At this point, we're about 100, we have 125 firearms that are at the PD that are not able to go back to their original owners. Either the owner is deceased, there's a court order saying they can't have it, the list goes on and on. What we've done is gone through hundreds of cases that we have, and we've sent out letters to those people who could have them. Some have given us responses back telling us to get rid of them. So we've done our due diligence, and at this point, we've between 100, 125 firearms that need to go somewhere. What I'm asking the board is, I want to, kind of polling the board at the same time, is we can do two things. We can destroy them. I can have a company come, melt them down, and be gone. Or the other thing we could do is we could auction them. By auctioning them, the money would come back typically to the general fund. I would probably ask that we might be able to use that for something else. I'm not sure if that's doable or not. But I'm looking to see what the board would like to do.
All right, now when you say auction off,
Yep, not us. I think what I mean by auction off is I would have a licensed gun dealer take them as like a consignment and try to sell them however that the state would see that as okay to do. But we've got them, they're sitting. Like I said, some of them have been there probably since the 90s, late 80s, but we've got to get rid of that stuff. We don't need to hold on to it. I don't have the space.
Some of these may have antique value or.
They may. There's all different stuff. I haven't looked at every one of them.
or even just value for their metal.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I guess there's two different trains of thought on it. It's, if we destroy them, they're gone, and everybody's safe. If we sell them, are we putting them back on the road or back on the street that somebody could potentially get hurt? I mean, I know a lot of people
And
look at
that's why I
it.
was asking about the auction,
Yep, it
to,
wouldn't- it
you
wouldn't
know,
be
to
me holding a-
understand that when it's auction, the auction or sale is done so that it follows all of the state guidelines, so
Absolutely.
the proper identification, you know, so they're not going into inappropriate hands.
Yeah, it wouldn't be me having a silent auction online at the PD.
Right.
They would go through a licensed gun dealer, the person would have a background check and everything they need to do in order to do it. I mean, ultimately, we might go to a gun dealer and the gun dealer may buy the whole lot. I don't know. I just want to see which way the board would like to go on that, if they want them destroyed or try to,
So I guess it depends on whether we're pro-gun or,
Got nothing to do, we don't have to go there. My thing would be the simplest solution, and I think if you can find somebody that wants to take the whole lot, sell the whole lot, but if we can't, I say just destroy them, because I think we need to get rid of them, and I don't feel like waiting for an auction process and getting a check back and all that.
however, if you can get say, an auction house to take them and then, you know, they auction them off piece by piece, we don't care.
and I think that's
kind
what
of
I would.
what I do not want to do,
Why is that?
because simple solution, either they're gone at once and gone and we're done, transaction complete.
I'd be willing to split the baby.
Yeah.
Get rid of the ones for money that you can. Anything that, because I'm sure that there are probably ones there that have not been cleaned in a decade, are, no longer serviceable.
When I said between 100 and 125, that 25 discrepancy is probably BB guns or pellet guns that really don't have any value. So there's probably 100 actual firearms.
But there's a cost to destroy.
I'm sure there is. We haven't looked into that. I mean, we could sit out back and bend the barrels of each one of them, but
So if you could find a company that would sell what they can, destroy what they can't, that would resolve it, and that would mean we're not paying out of the town budget to destroy any of these guns. You know, the sale of the other guns pay for the destruction, especially if it's done within the same, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. I just want whatever direction you guys want
What
me
do
to go
you think
in.
about that, Matt?
I would like to maximize the amount of money the town makes on it. I mean, who knows, you could have, you know, a shops from 1930 in there.
I don't know what's there.
So
I have no idea, but I always look to whatever, if the town can make a few dollars, the town could use a few dollars.
Yeah, and my only thing would be if it's going to cost us short money to destroy them, then it's short money, like and they're done. So if you come back, like Lisa said, if you come back with a couple other bits of information for us, I think we can make a better decision, but I think we're kind of clear on kind of how we're leaning the different ways.
I wanted your opinion, so that way we can
Yeah.
just go in the right direction.
And it sounds like we have a few different opinions.
You do.
So,
I'll bring that information back in the next meeting then.
thank you. So if you bring back the options and the figures to go with them, then we'll be able to make a motion and make a decision at that time.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I staying for my second one, or do you want me to sit
You
back
are
down?
staying for your second one, a
Okay.
DWI grant.
Yep, so the DWI grant, when I first came on board as chief, the board had asked me to try to obtain as many grants as we possibly could. Over the last year and a half, I've applied for several grants. This is the first grant that's come back to us that they've approved us for. This is for a 2019 DWI grant. It's a block grant through highway safety. And basically what it is, it's giving me money from the state to go out and do 4-hour blocks of active or more aggressive DWI patrols throughout the town. They've already set the pay rate, they've already set the days, the hours, that kind of stuff. What I'm looking for is the board to, I guess, approve or allow me to accept that grant. The grant has several pages that need to be signed.
Is there any reciprocal payments from the town required with this grant?
Out of my budget, I think there will be a match grant to it, which I've already got kind of budgeted into it, just so it goes longer and gives us more hours of patrol.
All right, and what is the amounts that we're talking about?
I should know that off the top of my head. I was more concerned with the guns. Bear with me for 1 second. As you guys are all aware, state forms aren't simple.
For,
They get a lot of extra wording in here that we could probably do away with.
All right, and while you're looking for that, can you look and think at the same time?
Look and think at the same time? Sure. What do we got?
I was just going to ask, does it require the full board's signature or a single member's?
I think it's a single member. The reason why I'm having a problem giving you the numbers is they broke it down by a bunch of different things. I've got one total of 2,669. And then I think I've got some other totals in there, so I'd have to total it because there was some for equipment they were trying to give, but I'm not 100% sure if we've got that portion of it yet.
Do you have maybe a top line number of what it could be?
I don't think they gave a top line. I think they just kind of broke it down into several sections. It's about 31 pages long, and each page has got different breakdowns.
All right. Maybe if, did you want to kind of
Yeah.
go off to the side?
I certainly can.
Come back?
Thank you.
the number you just gave us was 2,266?
Something to that
For
effect.
one of the items.
But that was for one.
One of the items.
Right. I'm just extrapolating it out, going, there's going to be one page that's going to cover salary, one page that's going to cover benefits and
Right, there's
deductibles.
they're all over the page, all over the place. The total budget under the total approved costs, including non-federal share, was $2,669.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure if that's a total cost.
Yeah.
That's why I want to just confirm
That
that.
appears to be from what you describe it.
So we can call it that for now. It's $2,669.
In which case, I will make a mo. I would
That
move-
doesn't sound like a lot, though.
No, they didn't give a lot of money for it. I was lucky enough just to get,
It doesn't sound like it gives you a lot of hours for
no,
DWI
it
either.
gives us a handful.
Okay.
But yeah, when you figure $25 an hour, and that's only paying for half, so that's about 100 hours. I would move to authorize the vice chair to sign the grant application on behalf of the town and gratefully accept it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to get the bottom line number before I voted, but I think my vote's going to be yes, but I just,
I'll just sit
From,
and,
from what he's describing, it sounds like the bottom line number is the,
yeah.
Yeah, but if
Well, once
we
we know
limit
for sure.
ourselves to 2,600 and then he goes through and says, oh, no, there's another total somewhere else?
I didn't quote a number,
Okay, that's right, he did not quote a number.
no.
Right, I don't want to have it an open-ended
and-
either.
And that's,
I'll sit for a moment and I'll come back.
Exactly.
yes.
We're talking
and the
5
rea-
minutes of our life.
And the reason
so-
is because it's money that the town has to spend as well.
Exactly.
Because it's a match grant. If
Exactly.
it was a 100% grant, then there's no question what the amount is. But for us to say, yes, spend this money, we need to know what money we're saying, yes, spend. So if you could
Exactly.
take a few minutes and then we can
Okay,
table
why
this
don't we-
motion?
Why don't we move on to G?
All right, so table or rescind?
I will rescind that motion until,
All right, so that motion's rescinded until later.
I can do G.
Let's move to the next one.
I would move per RSA 3195B to accept and expend unanticipated funds to food pantry from Kona Ice in the amount of $50.
Second.
All right, now, okay, I know you said move to G, however, we do have someone else in our audience that would like to go home too, I'm sure. So I would like to go back to F, the budget review, and cemetery trustees.
Madam, there's a motion on the floor, why don't we just take care of it?
I got seconded, right?
Yeah, I second
Yes,
it.
Larry's, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now let's go back to F, cemetery trustees. Please.
I happen to know that Bill enjoys staying here, and he
Yeah,
asked me
it's
on
exciting.
the way in, he asked me if we could make it go to 11, because he really
I
wanted.
won't be here, but Bill Landry, Cemetery Trustees. I assume you all have a copy of our budget for 2019,
Yes.
and I'm sure you're excited to see that it's only an increase of less than 1% over the previous year.
And let's see. And that's really because of grounds. Grounds is the reason for the increase.
Yes.
That 1%,
And
which is
this is the f-
understandable.
Yeah, this is the first increase in 3 years, and this new contract that we just signed is for another 3 years. And so we're anticipating this budget probably will be the same for the next 3 years, which is what we tried to do.
I will move that we include the cemetery budget as presented in the town's budget, with our thanks to the cemetery trustees for maintaining such a minor increase.
Second for discussion. So we do, this is our yearly thing. Bill just happens to be the first victim, so to speak. But when we look at these budgets, we're not necessarily accepting this budget tonight.
Review.
What we're doing is we're accepting it for essentially filing, adding to the full budget, and then,
That's the motion I made.
right, but you said, we would have to rewind.
Yeah.
You said to accept the budget.
For inclusion in the town budget.
Right, but not for the full, for inclusion in the town budget that we're going to approve later, is what I'm saying.
It can be amended, is what he's trying to
Yes.
say.
Yes.
once we
Exactly,
know
that's the word
bottom
I'm looking
line.
for.
I think we use review.
That's the
I
typical
will leave
annual.
that is the same language that I have been using for multiple years on approving these budgets. We're approving it for inclusion in the town budget.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean that it's the final, it doesn't mean anything.
yeah, but Jim, I think it's just
Might have to
a
cut $4 more.
clarification for those who are watching or reading later. That's all it is, it's just clarification for the viewers and the voters. And I do want to say, note that expenses do increase over time, so and you've done really well with maintaining within the budget that you've had, so I have no issue with this either.
We
Are there any-
appreciate that.
Any other comments, concerns?
Yeah. I can give you the motion that you made last year.
Sure.
Great.
Okay, so basically, Selectman Doggett moved to include the 2019 cemetery budget in the town 2019, in the 2019 town's draft budget. That's what we used.
Perfect
all-
word.
Okay?
Jim, you had excellent choice in words. Draft budget is.
So we'll use that for all of them that
Sounds
you
good to me.
want to include. And
Yes.
that was his wording from
Sounds
last
good.
year.
All right, thank you.
good.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. I don't think we have
Good
you.
evening.
You are not on
Thank you.
any of these others, so thank you very much.
Unless you want us
No,
to.
not yet.
Yes,
Yeah,
Chief,
they
do
don't-
you have our numbers? Excellent.
How am I gonna go
Come
back
on up.
there?
So Chief Jewett is back with some numbers for us.
So I was able to see the entire grant, the amounts that were across the board.
And
The
then he
number that I
lost
had
the
said
page
that-
again.
What's that?
And then he lost the
No,
page
no, we're
again.
good. The 2,669 is the grant. Our match is going to be, which is a couple pages up, it's like $675 on the federal side of it. It wasn't,
Okay,
So it's not a
it's an
50-50
80-20
match.
grant.
yeah, it must 80/20, I think, so.
All right.
Our match wasn't much, that's why I was taking it right out of my budget.
Okay,
Once again, I will move that the vice chair sign the grant application on behalf of the board, and we will willingly accept it.
Second.
Our thanks to the chief for securing it.
667.25 is what our match will be.
thank you very much. Any other
25?
questions, comments? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Unanimous, thank you. And if you have it, I can sign it. Thank you.
How much was it?
Okay, sounds good. Yes, yep. Yep, you can pick it up from them, don't worry. Nancy will have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's see, so we don't have any other members here for budget, but we can go through and see what was submitted to us. Actually, we do have one other member here.
Cable?
Cable Committee.
And planning board.
Oh, you're answering to, okay, excellent. So we'll start with Cable Committee.
So basically, we increased the budget $200 to account for the salaries that, for the new matrix.
So that's an upper of 200?
$200.
I'll move to include the cable budget in the town draft 2019 budget.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
You can do mine.
All right, our next item, well, we have EMD as our next representative here. So we'll move on to that one.
But basically, my budget just went up $200.
I'm seeing a trend here.
Stuff costs more.
It went
And let's
up
see, there are no dues or subscriptions?
The salary,
Oh, where is EMD?
Oh,
we jumped
red.
the salary up 500, but we deducted on a couple other line items that the fuel expense, we dropped at 100. And
I'm just curious, there are no dues or subscriptions required under the EMD?
because I didn't get any, so why put the money back in?
All right, sounds good. Let's see,
I'll move to include the EMD budget as presented in the draft 2019 budget.
Second?
any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, then our next,
Close fire.
Who's our forest fire rep?
We have a budget.
Exactly. I'm going with those that we actually have representatives to speak to, which would now be planning board.
Flip to your planning board tab. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, you will see that for the 5th straight year, the planning board has a 0 increase in their budget.
Well, aren't you guys good?
Yeah, and I see some money's moved around a little
We have
bit,
moved
but the
around,
same
and we-
bottom line.
Please be warned that legal services keeps losing a bit and losing a bit. That's down from years past, that was 7,500. Luckily, we have well-meaning and well-intended planning board members, and we haven't had a court case recently. So I will move that we include the planning board budget in the 2019 draft budget.
I'll second.
I just have one question. Sure. We are at the end of October. This was prepared, okay, the end of September, which would be 3/4.
Right.
However, salary, only 50% of it has been expended so far?
That is because we're penny pinchers.
Plus, this is only through 10/9.
Yeah, that's what I said, 3/4.
Yeah.
But we haven't expended 75% of the salary either. That's why I was asking the question.
Okay.
So-
Hard to hear you.
No problem.
Okay.
All right, so I'm okay with that. Any other discussion, comments? All in favor? Aye. And our next representative is Conservation Commission.
We don't have a budget.
We are going to,
They're conserving.
yes, we are conserving. The
Paper.
Conservation Commission will be putting in for a 0 increase budget.
For what?
A 0 increase budget,
The same as last year.
same as last year.
Okay.
Actually, the conservation budget that's presented is down, is a negative 2,930. Oh.
No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The proposed 2019 budget is 2933, no change.
So the only thing I would say is, and again, first night process check here. One is, we really want people, this budget schedule sheet, right, that Diane, you sent out to all the departments, basically tells you when you're on and when your submitted budget worksheets are due. I think the board will agree with me. We really want to hold people to this. And in the past, I've witnessed people walk in to town hall and take out a blank piece of paper and just write it down really quick and submit it. We don't want that going on. I don't think any of the voters want that. And not to pick on the Conservation Commission, because obviously they do some important work for the town, but you can't turn in a blank page and say, just do what we did last year.
Well, they
Unfortunately, Conservation has not...
Oh, wait, is it right here?
That's the 18.
didn't.
That's not something for 19.
So there's nothing in here?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now,
So-
Conservation has a very small budget, as you saw. It's under
Yep.
$3,000. And for the most part, that's because there are expenses that could occur in any year,
Right,
but not necessarily in every year.
right.
So the minimal budget, which is what we have here,
Yep.
is what Conservation needs to cover the anticipated, if they occur, this is what we need.
Right. So I guess I need some clarity, because I could be wrong at this.
And I know
So
for-
this was prepared for tonight?
No.
Okay. That's all I'm saying. Is
Yes.
I don't really care what it says. The Conservation Commission is going to make that determination.
However-
My thing is, we have to meet the deadlines.
He wants the 19.
Exactly, we have to meet the deadlines, and that is why I am speaking to Conservation tonight.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I will move that the Conservation Commission budget be placed in the draft 2019 budget in accordance with its previous year's budget lines.
I will second that.
With the copy forwarded when someone has time, that's all.
With the copy forwarding?
With the 18 column and the 19 column.
Yeah, they'll,
Just so it can go in a book, like. so we
Nancy
can read.
or
Yeah, well-
Diane will update the sheets.
Okay,
Kim is doing it. but
Okay, yeah, whoever is doing the,
I think that's what Matt's referring to.
I
Yeah.
just want
What's
the
it in the
board
book?
to know, Diane has reached out several times with no reply.
And,
So
and
we're-
that's where I'm going, is that can't happen.
Right.
And I'm, not to pick on conservation, you guys just happen to be the first one. I'm going to vote nay because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And it sounds like we're being nitpicky about details, but we do this every year. And we see a schedule published. How long in advance did the schedule go out?
Been quite a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably the first one.
So what I'm doing is I'm asking the board to back up our office staff who bear the brunt of this, okay? They're the ones who have to chase people. They're the ones who get the phone, have to bug people who they've told a month in advance, okay? And I'm going to vote nay because I'm trying to back up our office staff and see if we can, this can be my first year that I've been on the board where people can meet the deadlines. That's all I'm saying.
So can I just add one thing to that? Because we've been through this so many years now, that maybe if they're not going to reply, they're not going to come in, they're not going to prepare, that the board just prepare it for them and they get what they get. Whatever you decide you want to give them is what they get.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the town might get hurt in that situation, because my thing would be a zero. You know, if you turn in nothing, you get nothing in your budget, but the
But we-
town gets hurt,
Right.
so.
We have another budget.
yeah, but I don't
that's
think
in-
every board member would say, okay, a
Well,
zero
true, yeah,
budget.
exactly, true,
Uh,
yeah.
Because
And-
I was just going to say, the next item in the list, the ZBA,
And theirs isn't here either.
In the difference between, I need to say this, the difference between conservation and ZBA is we actually have someone here who can speak to the conservation budget, whereas we do not have anyone here
Yeah,
who can
and-
speak to the ZBA budget.
And you should get credit for that, because that's another level of this issue, is we have quite frequently these guys say, your budget's on for this night, you need to send somebody, and quite frequently, we have nobody. You know, cemetery trustees, to pick on Bill in a good way, he sat here waiting for us because he finds it important enough that he did that. So I give him credit for that. And obviously, Lisa, you're the liaison, I forget the Latin term. So, I mean, you are here, so that's a plus.
Ex officio.
Ex officio,
I
thank
do
you.
have one other concern. Not only haven't we received the budget, but in Kim's year-to-date, there's nothing on payroll. And I'm sure there has to be some payroll. It's been almost a year, and we haven't received one payroll.
Which I will be addressing at our next meeting.
This happens every year,
Yep.
and they can't wait till the end of the year and submit it all at one time. Nobody knows what they worked and when they worked, and they need to do it on a monthly basis.
I will be bringing it to the Conservation Commission at our next meeting,
Okay.
and we will come up with some sort of a resolution that will make the bookkeeper's job easier.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So there's a motion.
So are we...
All right,
motion.
Did you vote?
we have a motion in a second, we have our comments. All in favor? Aye.
So it was a nay. So, November 1st, there's a deadline of November 1st to submit completed budget worksheets. Are we adding Conservation and Board of Appeals to that deadline? We're pushing their deadline out, is that what we're going to do?
No, we just accepted
true, yep.
Conservation.
You
Right,
did,
but we
okay.
want a clean sheet for the book, though, with the 19
Kim
numbers in
is
there.
Kim does that.
We'll update it, and then it'll go in your book.
Okay, all right.
Yep, yep.
So that's not an issue.
So the Board of Appeals and Welfare.
However, so forest fire will be us, because we're responsible for the forest, right? We're
That's Billy Ingalls. This is his budget. He submitted as warden.
all right, and we have that in here.
We did have one.
Yep, you have
I
his.
skipped over it thinking we didn't have one.
Yeah, it's in there, yeah.
Is it under fire or general? or-
Forest fire.
Under Fire Department, Forest Fire.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I was looking at. Yep, okay.
color
Fire
is that?
department, it is orange.
Madam Chair, I would move that we include the forest fire budget in the 2019 draft budget as proposed, which is a $2,767 less than previous years.
And I'll second for discussion. I will note that that $2,700 less is due to a forest fire grant, which we likely did not get.
No, we did get it for this year.
No, I mean for next year.
There's nothing requested for next year.
Exactly, and that's the point that I'm making. A grant is a one-time thing, and it needs to be renewed if it's even offered the following year. So the fact that I went down, we are actually, not counting the grant, we are maintaining the same budget for the expenses and payroll, and that's what I want to clarify. And our payroll is almost 100%, and a little on the expenses. However, that again is one of those accounts that, depending on what we have for forest fires, the expenses could be higher in different years. Anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then our next one, welfare assistance. We do not have a rep here. We have a budget, correct?
Yes.
And what is that under?
Welfare.
Welfare.
General assistance.
Thank you.
Is it general?
General?
Is it general?
It's
Yeah.
general assistance.
All right.
Yellow. The second yellow tab.
Got it, thanks.
So basically, she's keeping everything level funded.
I was just going to say, it appears to be a level funded.
We moved, because she did get a pay increase last year, so we moved around a couple of dollars from the phone system to the payroll line, so that it does stay level funded.
And if there were no dues or subscriptions this year, we're expecting dues or
You
subscriptions?
never know. There could be something that comes out that, she's in a group of people that are welfare administrators and that, and they spearhead and, like, what's the term when you're networking with other towns? So you never know, something could come up.
Considering the fact that there's no line in here for attendance at a conference, or, the state has a training session.
Yeah,
like
there's no
I attend
training
the law
here.
lectures, there may be something,
I think,
there's nothing in here for travel or anything else. So, $50 for them to possibly,
No, I was just curious about it, because it's a
Yeah.
very specific line item.
Yeah.
Is why I was asking.
it's probably been there for years and years. The money amount might have changed, but it's one of the categories that we usually have for her.
All right, well, I just want to point out that while we do need to budget for these assistances, there's no way of predicting how much assistance the town will need to provide. And we've actually done well, and when we don't expend what's budgeted, it goes back into the budget itself,
Correct.
or into the general fund, so to speak. So all in all, it's pretty good.
Madam Chair, I would move that we include the proposed welfare budget in the 2019 draft.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Larry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And our last item is Board of Appeals. Now, we do not have a representative to speak to them, and we do not have,
Just have the one
We do
from
not have a
2018.
proposed budget.
that
and
you
we
can
do
fill.
not have a proposed budget, so we have nothing to work on here. Now, we have a choice as a board. We could decide to level fund them, we could, and again, it's just to be included in the draft budget.
So my thing is this is the last one. Give them till November 1st, and then we can,
That's
know.
tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
exactly.
No, this is the 30th.
Yeah, November
Yeah, tomorrow's
1st.
the 31st.
It's Thursday,
Oh, 31st.
So
Yes.
they have a whole
2 days.
2 days. We're open late on Thursday, right? So if they,
Even though we've
And when do
reached
they,
out a
when
few
do they
times.
meet again?
Huh?
When does ZBA meet again?
I don't know.
it's on Tuesdays, so it'll be the third
No, they meet on
Second
Mondays.
Tuesday?
They meet on Mondays.
Monday.
Mondays,
Yeah.
Give me a minute, I'll tell you which day. Let's see. we're going
second
to
Monday.
November.
This secretary is out on vacation right now, so, they're not going to get any help from her on that.
You can throw them on the 12th, because I'm coming off, because I did mine tonight.
We have to discuss that. That's our holiday for Veterans Day.
Oh, okay.
So you guys had scheduled a meeting that night. We don't know if you want to still do that, because it is a holiday for us.
Yeah, we don't want to be paying time and a half for our staff to attend a meeting.
I
No
don't
offense,
think they have
ladies.
anything scheduled, the board, right now, they have no meeting scheduled in November,
Isn't that a
according to the
Monday?
calendar.
Yeah,
Board
they
of Appeals.
changed because
So
it
is
was
ZBA.
conflicting with
Yeah.
recreation and that, back when recreation was meeting out here.
Oh, so the 12th, we meeting for Monday, okay.
Do you want to table that until Gail gets back and she can wrangle them in and get it done?
I would just, I'd send them a message, and I would say, send it to all the departments that are late, is that, you're endangering your department's funding, by not coming in on time. And I don't know what we can do other than that,
You can
it's
do their
like.
budget for
We
them.
can do their budget
Exactly.
for them.
And I don't think we should be doing that, because we really don't necessarily know what it is. Level funded, that's the easy way out. I mean, people have to take responsibility,
Right, and then if we have questions, too.
I mean, the attendance is a good thing, but attendance bothers me a little less than not meeting the deadline,
Yeah, they should be presenting us with the proposed budget by the time allocated to them. I agree wholeheartely.
I agree too.
Yep.
But if they don't, what do we do? You can send them all kinds of emails, they're not gonna, you can talk to them on the phone. They're just not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, they're,
And my concern is, I don't want to be there on December 18th with a 2 to 3 times the list of departments
I know,
because they
that's
were all
exactly what-
delayed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what happens.
That's our concern,
Is we
too.
have the sort of orphan night, where everything that didn't fit into there gets pushed, and we're like, I don't know.
Yeah, because we'd like to get the budgets done early this year and not be so pressured at Christmas.
Exactly.
But with ZBA being small and being the first one, and we're just being firm at this point and advising the departments that we are being firm on this, I would be okay with giving ZBA until November 1st to provide us with a budget amount. And there are more than one member of ZBA. They should have already discussed it. They should have it even if they haven't given it to us before. I don't care if it's in paper or pen or whatever, but they need to provide it to our office.
So, I mean, the only thing, playing devil's advocate, is what they just told us, is their only employee, their secretary, is out of pocket right now, so.
So is the planning boards.
Right, but you know what, again, devil's advocate.
Don't start.
Devil's advocate,
Okay.
they're gonna say, we don't have our secretary available for, do we know when she's back?
By the middle of November.
Middle of November? So, I say November 15th, and it pains me to do it, but,
But even if you give that date, Matt, there's no guarantee they'll have a meeting at that time. It may be already gone by. Right now, they have nothing scheduled.
right, but, so their next meeting is what, December,
They don't have anything scheduled.
it's supposed to be, but
They
it's
don't have
the
one in
second-
December either?
If they don't have any things coming before them,
They don't meet.
They're statutorily required to meet once a month.
and
Well, I don't see.
I know.
So last month, when did they meet?
It's usually the second Monday, right?
They met on October 8th,
That would have been the second.
first Mon, yeah, that would have been the second Monday.
So they don't have a meeting scheduled for the second Monday of November, correct?
Probably because they don't have a secretary.
Right. So how about the second Monday of December is what?
And again, that puts them on our last,
No.
okay? December 13th is the last submitted with the
if-
December 18th
If I
meeting.
can just say, I think Diane can probably reach out, or I can reach out tomorrow and say, this is it. You have to prepare, this is your budget, you need to do it, we want it by the 1st.
Agreed.
He can email it, he can do whatever, you know? It's not so much the form, because Kim can fill in the numbers, if he can just give us the numbers.
Let me, I think that sounds good, but let me put it another way. For the minutes and on TV,
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, I'm about to read the schedule that's in front of us for next time. Is it, I have an updated schedule, correct?
I believe so, right?
Okay,
That
so
happened.
November 1st is the deadline for the following departments. So the following departments have until Thursday to turn in their proposed budgets. Then at the November 12th Selectmen's meeting, we are going to review the budgets for the building department, elections, registrations, and vital statistics. Emergency management has already been done, so we're crossing that off. Library and tax collector. So again, November 1st is the due date for the building department, elections, registrations, and vital statistics, library and tax collector. So they have a couple of days, I'm sure they're working on it, but just so we have it there. So on November 12th, we'll see
She
what
just
we
said
have.
we're not working on the 12th, it's a holiday.
Right, so whatever the
Whatever
meeting's
you-
going to be.
Right,
So November,
whatever you
13th?
decide.
13th?
No, no.
Oh, no,
13th.
can, it's planning board.
but let's plan on, since it was published as November 12th, well, as November 1st, they should still be going with that deadline.
Exactly right. So
Yeah.
basically, they should have their budgets in by November 1st
Right.
and leave it at that.
And if there's a department head who doesn't know when they're on here, the schedule was published a while ago, we can resend it, but it's all here, and this is, you know, we're not picking on people or anything, but it's just, those of us who have been here a few years, this happens every year. And it's, you know,
But Board of Appeals, which is the one I'm worried about at the moment.
yeah. Well, Board of Appeals should be added to that list, I think,
So
November 1st.
should
the
have had it
next-
to us by the 25th. This
Right.
is 5 days later.
Right,
We don't have it.
right.
We're not waiting till December 18th to get a Board of Appeals budget.
No, no.
Right, November 1st, yeah.
So we're good with November 1st, and
Add it to that
whether
list.
it's the chair, vice chair, whoever it is with
Yep.
ZBA,
Yep.
somebody from ZBA, it
Yep.
doesn't have to be their secretary, needs to get us their budget numbers
Yeah, please.
by the 1st, so that it is included in the November 12th. And if they don't get it to us, then the board will decide for them.
Yep,
Agreed?
sounds good to me.
Larry, Jim, agreed? All right. So if Diane, you or Nancy can reach out to them and let them know?
Yep.
I'm putting my binder away.
Yep, that's it for budgets. All right, so we did G, we are now on to H, release of funds for reimbursement of personal cell phone usage. And who can speak to that?
You want me to?
Yep.
So you had asked about a spreadsheet for all the different phones and what we're using. We are definitely in the works, or I guess getting prices on that net, what's it called?
FirstNet.
FirstNet. But this one was never closed out. Kim's still holding that check and trying to decide what to do with it. If the board, so I believe a memo or a letter, email or something was done by Diane to send to Ron if you guys are in favor of that check that Kim is holding. Because you did state in your last meeting that anybody that has a phone at their desk does not need to be using their cell phone.
Correct.
So I think that's what this is saying, that, I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry. My computer went to sleep.
Well, I think it's, well, how much is it for?
200,
So in the employee it's for is
the building department permit clerk.
the building? Okay, so it's the secretary. She doesn't go out on the road to, all right.
She
So-
uses her
It's
cell
the
phone to
permit.
text the inspectors.
Right, but she could call them, right?
But
Right.
this was done before,
Well, I'm
Yeah.
getting to that,
Yeah,
but,
okay.
so we're not going to limit her from doing her job,
No,
but we're kind of looking at what it was before, and we should close that out, but going forward,
right.
exactly.
you
So
know.
I had a suggestion in thinking about this, because your decision was made after the department head had given up his phone money to give to her. You could allow this one check to go through with a memo to the department head saying, we're not going to allow this again. But because it happened prior to your decision, you know,
Why is the department head giving up his money?
because he didn't feel that it would be appropriate for him to get paid and her to get paid, so he gave up his so she could use her phone to be able to text.
Well, I understand that, but why, so he does go out on the road,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So we do have to reach him while he's out on the road.
Right.
That's my main thing,
Right.
right? I mean, I don't have any problem with if somebody's legitimately is away from the office. I'm talking about a secretary who isn't performing their duties away from, so I think we should still be reimbursing the department head.
Right. But he chose not to put it in and instead pay Barbara for this.
I'm okay paying Barbara that $200.
Yeah, and then just, you know,
I will move to release the funds for reimbursement for personal cell phone usage in the building department.
second.
And is
And
this-
this is a one-time, it's with the understanding this is a one-time reimbursement and not,
That needs to be there needs to be a separate
okay.
motion.
So any comments regarding the releasing of payment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Whether or not there needs to be a motion to state that everybody who sits at a desk with a telephone will not receive cell phone reimbursement. I don't know proper ways that
It's,
phrase that.
it's really a town policy that I think we need. And I think it will be unofficial until it makes it into a policy, an official policy. But I think it should be an understanding that unless a town employee is, needs to be reached out of the office, then there is no need to be reimbursing them for cell phone usage. And I think that's what it comes down to.
I think you have to be careful because we all have cell phones and we are all being called by one or somebody else. And we're not asking for reimbursement, but that could be tricky because anybody that's taken a call from a board of selectmen or their
Well,
department
like I
head-
said, needs to be reached.
Well, who's going to decipher that? That's, I'm just
Well,
being cautious.
I mean, it's a process, and I really don't want to spend any more time
No,
on
me
this.
neither.
No,
But, you know, it's, to give you an example, you and Diane, Nancy.
Yep.
If I'm calling you,
Yep,
I'm calling your desk, because I know at a certain time, you're 99.9% of the time, you're gonna be at your desk.
but we
If it
get
was,
calls on the weekend and too.
right, but,
Quite honestly, you should, well.
right, I mean, if it's an
Diane definitely
emergency.
should not give anybody her cell phone.
I know, yeah, exactly. If it's an emergency, or it's, we're texting you because it's FYI, you need to know, that's different, but I mean, I think we know, and most people should know, if they need to get in touch with you, it's the desk phone, because that's where you probably are.
Yeah, and typically, if I call your cell, it's only because you called me first.
I don't have a problem with it, and like I said, I'm not looking to be,
I know,
Yep.
you just gotta be careful that you're not.
I know you don't, but we should put a policy together, but I think it's kind of a reasonable policy right now that, you know, and over time, this stuff adds up. So
Right, right.
I think
Exactly.
I can't talk about this anymore.
No, I agree. So we are releasing the payment, which we did. However, at the current time, we are not authorizing any more reimbursement, so please don't use, right?
So a memo can go to the building inspector.
That's pretty much what we're looking for. Or are we saying by not taking any action or any memo that, okay, yes, you can put in for more reimbursement, you can continue to use your cell phone?
I think at this stage, until we write the policy, we're doing it on a case-by-case basis, but I think we have an informal policy that we've just made clear.
And to be clear, that is that the permit clerk has no need for cell phone reimbursement because her work is done at her desk.
Yes, and by the way, if I remember reviewing that spreadsheet you gave us, this was the only employee that was in question. Everybody
Yes.
else seemed to have a legitimate need,
Correct.
yeah,
Yep.
so.
Just remember one thing, that was, I want to say that that's been hanging around since June or July. So there may be,
I don't think there would be another one because it was already put into question when it was put on hold.
The building inspector sent out an email to the others not to use their
okay,
phones.
okay.
Exactly. So it should be,
I
this
just
is
wanted
it,
to-
and it
this is one of
closes
those
it
things,
out.
it's been on the back burner
Exactly.
so long.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want them, you know,
Yep. And it's already been
Discussed.
identified, discussed, that there are ways that she can do what needs to be done without utilizing the
Right.
cell phone at her desk.
Okay.
So we're good. And if you want to send a memo out stating that, that's fine. All right, what's our next item? Our next item is,
Intent to cut.
yes, in Courierville Road. Who's intending to cut?
Fitzgerald?
Yeah,
father and son realty.
the Courierville Road property, 5 house lots.
Is that, that's not a scenic road, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
However, it's coming with a 15-foot wide easement along there's a new subdivision there of 7,
5.
5.
I think we should actually have some input from conservation on this.
Conservation spoke to the planning board,
Okay,
and there's a 15-foot easement that's coming to the town along the front edge of the property for future widening of Courierville Road if need be.
all right, because I'm
And
not
that
seeing
will be
anything on it.
That's
and-
a no-cut zone.
So conservation has already signed off on this, and planning board has already signed off on this, is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
Correct.
And all we need to do is sign this intent to cut?
I haven't seen it.
Should be in this folder,
Yeah,
correct?
the red one? Is that the pink color?
Yep, it's right here. All right, let's see.
No, that's the right
Cheryl,
one.
Okay.
Fred Leclerc. I don't know who that is.
The trees they're cutting is so they can build the houses.
Right.
Who signs the chair?
All 5 sign There's a place on the bottom for all of them.
And it is looking for municipal,
There's not a little tag that says sign?
yep, I
Oh.
see it here.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure. Municipal assessing official. And I don't know the answers to those statements as to
The
whether or not
answers
they're accurate. No, whether or not they, in this little block here.
Oh, okay.
Because we don't have anything from the planning board or conservation saying that those statements are accurate, that we are signing to say
Well,
are
it's the
accurate.
assessor that would determine whether or not current use, that it's not under current use unproductive category. The timber tax is not listed, is not shown on here.
That, it is in current use, I believe,
Right.
and until he starts doing any work on that property, nothing can be taken out of current use.
Okay.
So this is the first
Well,
step.
he also doesn't have he has a conditional approval, not a final approval.
What do you mean by conditional, for the planning board?
Right.
But you did his Mylar. His Mylar got recorded, right?
No,
Oh, it didn't?
no, this was only approved last Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
We haven't seen the Mylar yet. However, he is allowed to cut trees with a conditional approval.
Okay. I think he wants to get
Everything
started.
appears to be improper, with the exception of the timber tax. And that is figured out once,
Once he cuts and does his report.
oh, okay, this is just
This
to
is
cut out the
just the
pine.
intent to cut.
Yeah, but this is just intent to cut pine. This is not hardwood.
It's not what?
It doesn't list any hardwood.
They're only taking down pines
That's-
and things where they're gonna build the house.
Right.
He's not cutting all the trees, he's not.
Exactly, it's not a clear cut.
This
Right.
2500, 25,000 trees,
No, 25,000 board
Board
feet.
feet,
board feet.
yep.
What's that equate to in trees?
Depends on how big
Because
the tree is,
it's not, it's always listed in board feet.
how thick the tree is too.
Right? No, that's fine.
I'll move that we sign the intent to cut.
I'll second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to say nay because I don't have enough information, so.
That's okay.
However, our next item,
So our contract with Palmer ran out. So I went and I got a new one for us. And as you all know, I'm sure, everything has gone up. So propane went up 20 cents per gallon. The biggest increase, though, is the fuel oil. That has gone up tremendous. I do have feelers out to see if there's anybody else out there that can beat their price. But I think for now, because we want to get in at least something, so if we sign this one, we can always say cancel it later.
Okay, I'll move to sign the number 2 fuel and propane contract with Palmer Oil.
I think you need to have the chair sign, please. Authorize the chair, there's just a
Okay.
signature for one.
Authorize the chair to sign.
I'll second for discussion. So when you say we're going to sign it but not submit it,
No, we'll submit it, that way there we'll have it, something.
yeah, but if we sign it and submit it,
it's a binding agreement, but is there a term?
There's no term, so
It should be a term.
Okay, delivery of propane and fuel during the period of November 1st through April 30th.
There you
Right.
go, there's
Yeah,
your term.
term.
So there is a term.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So
I
if
thought
we-
you meant an exit.
So I would be okay with signing it, but not submitting it until we
Well, then
know for
November
sure.
1st is Thursday.
Yeah,
The rates are gonna be a lot higher.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I
it-
mean, then the board, what the board should be voting on is either to do it or not.
Right,
'Cause-
exactly.
Because if we do want to hunt for a better price,
We've been hunting, just so you know.
exactly.
It's only
And
a 6-month deal.
I don't know how many people do have oil heat.
Yeah.
I do. And the one thing I do know is that while propane pricing can vary by supplier, oil typically does not. You know, you are very hard pressed to find any
A cent
real
here, a
discount.
cent there.
Yeah, is the best you can usually do.
So I'm okay, I don't remember the motion now, but it sounded like it
Motion
was.
was to have the chair sign the contract with Palmetto.
So I seconded it before, I'm still seconding, we're not shopping around as far as I'm concerned.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
We have been shopping on that. just
Right,
so
but
you know.
additional shopping.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and then, let's see, we're getting close to the bottom here. We are equalization assessment data.
There's a form that the board needs to sign. Andrea's working on that data for DRA right now, but they will not do a thing with it unless they have a signed sheet,
I think that's the pink one.
the pink one. And I'm finding out even with the DRA's portal and everything, if we don't have the board sign everything, they will not touch it. It can sit there for 5 months and nothing happens unless you start calling and finding out why.
All right, this is just signing, certifying that the assessment and sales information provided by the town on the New Hampshire system
Yeah.
has been thoroughly reviewed by the board and is complete and accurate to the best of our knowledge.
Well, that you can't do because it's not complete yet, but it's on the system, and even if she, I don't know, I guess she could run you a report. It's going to tell you whether the sales were valid or not.
Well, it says we are certifying that
Well, to the best of your
it's been
knowledge.
reviewed to the, yes, that
I
the
mean, we do
information
this-
provided by us.
We do this every year,
Yep.
and, you know, it's not something the board would probably get too involved with, because it's all,
And the
Are we all
important,
signing?
yeah.
yes.
I would move that the board sign.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I say that because I do agree that the information is accurate to the best of our knowledge. Next is parking, town hall during elections.
This one, I think, is more of just a reminder that the people who are working the polls all day should not be parking out here. They probably should leave those spots open for the voters.
So can we just send an email to the moderator, who the moderator is the one who recruits the volunteers, and just a reminder email? I know he knows, but maybe he can take it and forward it to the people he's been talking to. And I also think that, what do we have back here for handicap? Is it one?
One.
Can we,
Uh,
can
We
we?
don't have two back there?
No.
It's just one?
Yeah.
The one immediately
One here and
adjacent
one there.
to it, can we block it off so nobody can park there?
My understanding, because we've been discussing this with the moderator, is the handicap spot is where the vehicle goes, and in front of the dumpster where all those lines are is where the ramp comes out.
Correct.
Right,
So-
that's actually part of the handicap space.
Right.
So we've already talked to the moderator about that, and Mary Jo, and asked that they make sure that happens, because there are people that are coming in vans and they've got no place to park. There is a handicap down by the door downstairs, but it's on such a slope that they can't use it for a
Right.
van or a wheelchair lift.
However, we might also want to let the police chief know that, you know, when the cruiser swings through, if they see somebody parked on that striped area, I mean, it's a $50 ticket. But it also is the difference between some people being able to get out of their handicapped accessible vehicle.
Exactly. Yep.
So
Yeah,
people
but-
need to remember that that's not a parking space.
Right, exactly.
And it's not even a parking space for a vehicle that has
A
the
handicap plate.
handicap placard or plate.
Right.
Right, but
Because of
the-
the stripes.
The chief could do something day of election, cones or whatever, so it's still useful for the ramp and everything, but at the same time, you can't pull a vehicle into there. So, so maybe the chief can come up with some cones or
Either the
something.
chief or the road agent might
Yeah,
have a couple of
right,
cones.
right.
Then you need to be careful that you set the cones far enough apart to allow for
Absolutely.
the width of any type of wheelchair that might be
Absolutely.
coming through.
Absolutely.
72 inches.
Are you sure that's the widest wheelchair? Because I know they
No,
have
no.
different with wheelchairs.
72 inches is 6 feet.
Well, that's too big.
They come
No,
up
no, no,
nice.
but that's the width you need
I thought that
for
was
the
the
ramp
purpose, to
area.
keep
So I'm not as interested in what the widths are specifically, but I think there's a way they can do it, where they can block it so no one can park, but the ramps will be still be able to be used, so.
All right, so no further discussion. On to the next item. RPC support letter for drinking water source protection grants.
Did you miss the Veterans Day breakfast?
That's not on, that might be under announcements, it's not in
It's
there.
not on a, it's
Not
not a
on
letter.
ours.
I can cover the RPC.
Oh, good.
Okay.
The RPC is putting in
happened
for
there?
a grant
That's what
for
happened.
them to supply, to correlate data on drinking water source protection for Rockingham County. And they asked for a letter of support. So they sent out a boilerplate, and I don't know if it was Nancy or Diane, filled in the lines, and I would move that we sign. There will be a separate one coming from the planning board.
I'll second that.
And any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And since it does have Bob Donovan's name,
Oh, does it?
it does.
I have it on my computer, so I can print it and have you sign it.
All right, that's
Okay.
fine. I was just going to say, it does have his
They
name
need
on
it
it.
by the 1st of November.
All right, so yes, if you can just update it, then I will sign it.
Okay.
Now, other business.
So we have some other business because it's not on your agenda, but it's on mine as my note, sorry. It's the Veterans Day pancake breakfast. We need to find out where we're going to get the money from and how much we can spend.
So,
This is recreation, right?
no,
Oh, no, this is the Board of Selectmen doing the Veterans
with
Breakfast?
some help from recreation people, but we're having volunteers coming from all departments, basically. So I had asked the board if we could pull it out of somewhere, because, I mean, we might have the money left in recreation, but it really wasn't budgeted for recreation. So do we have any, because until we sell tickets, we really don't know a head count.
That's correct.
So we did mail a bunch of postcards to anybody we had signed up for the tax credit, which doesn't necessarily cover everybody, but what was it, 169 postcards?
Felt like more.
Yeah. So I mean, this could be, you know, we still won't know until we sell the tickets, so we have to come up with like a budget number, probably not to exceed, but we're still,
Might I suggest $500 not to exceed to come out of the unexpended fund balance at the end of,
No. We can't do that.
because there's,
We've
mean-
already set the tax rate stuff.
Right.
We can't change it now. And I have money under executive.
oh, okay.
It has to be
Yeah, and
specifically
actually, that's
warranted.
one of
Well, I
our
was just
other
gonna say-
items. Where'd it go?
We know that there'll be a little bit of money left over in the planning board account.
Yeah, well, I can take it out of my executive, which
Yeah.
is where we put for food and stuff if you had a meeting or whatever. I don't have 500, but I've got some, and then we'll just find the difference somewhere else. within the budget or whatever.
My thing is, we're doing a pancake breakfast, so we're not doing a steak dinner. So I think we can reasonably predict what the cost per person will be. We just
Okay.
don't know how many people it will be yet. So,
That's why I'm saying not to exceed $500. I've posted many ham and bean suppers.
yeah,
And I'm assuming ham and bean suppers is about twice the price of a breakfast, simply because the materials.
right. So you're with $500?
500.
I think that's a lot. But
Well,
I'm
he's
saying
not to exceed.
because quite honestly,
It could
I
be
haven't
less.
bought, I don't know exactly.
Yes,
what
it
the
can be
menu
less,
is.
just not
Absolutely.
more.
It's pancakes, sausage or bacon,
Right. So that
maybe
was a
scrambled
motion,
eggs.
right?
So that, yeah, I made the motion.
So I'll second that.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
I mean, I'm volunteering to come and help serve.
Oh, yeah,
but-
definitely.
Any discussion?
and
All
it'll
in
come out-
favor?
Come out of
Aye.
the
Aye.
executive. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Those are the ones that need to be signed by you.
All right, and Nancy, that is in other, which is the tax rate. We did not cover that.
Right, we didn't, we need to.
And we got the figures from DRA, and our tax rate has gone down
Yes.
$1, and we need to approve or authorize the tax rate,
I like the direction we're going.
right?
So $25 and...
I believe it's
58.
58 cents. So if I could...
I will move to set the tax rate at $25.58 per thousand of taxable assessment.
Second. And like I said, just to be sure, our residents know that that is a dollar per thousand less than our most recent tax rate. So we have gone down. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would like to add that if we can get this certified tomorrow by DRA, Andrea will be printing the warrant. You need to sign it before Mary Jo will print, because this is the one that really calculates everything.
Right.
So we'll send you an email, let you know when it's printed, and if you could come in, even if it's over the weekend, because I know we're on a tight schedule right now. We're kind of behind.
Yep, just let me know. I'll come in.
Okay,
I have no problem coming in after hours to sign it once it's prepared.
good, thank you.
Any other business? No?
Okay, Madam Chair, I would move that we sign the vendor manifest dated 10/30/2018 in the amount of $754,777.59, of which $628,000 goes towards the November 2018 Sanborn Regional School District payment.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I would move that we sign the new fire rescue station manifest dated 10/30/2018 in the amount of $2,500.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I would move that we sign the payroll manifest for the pay period 10/14/2018 to 10/27/2018 with a pay date of 11/1/2018.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I would move to sign requisition number 3040 in the amount of $1,680.00 for the senior holiday luncheon for the Recreation Commission.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I would move to sign tax abatement refund in the amount of $9,283.00 for MAP 99, Block 5, Lot 1 for tax years 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would move to sign Veterans Tax Credit for MAP 7-3-28-4 for tax year 2019.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is that one approved, does it say?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there a page 2 for Larry?
There is not. You did them all. He's good.
Page 1 of 2.
Okay, Yeah, there's an announcement she has in the
Oh,
brown
okay.
one.
Larry, you want one?
Yeah, which is not for Larry.
Announcements, November 6th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., the polls will be open to cast your vote. Also, Town Hall,
Just those
Closed.
two, Larry, okay?
what?
Just the first two, please.
Oh, I'm on the second one.
I know.
Oh, Town Hall will be closed this Monday, November 12th, in observance of Veterans Day. Next selectmen's meeting is scheduled for the 12th. Oh, that's a little
So we-
side
yeah,
note.
So we need to decide when you're going to have your November 12th meeting, now that we realize it's a holiday.
Right, because we were planning on meeting on the 12th for budgeting.
Correct.
Yeah, but we have a lot of evaluations still.
Right.
So
And if we look at our calendar, we don't have a lot of time. Now, we already have the 6th is Election Day. That's going to be, so we could do,
Is there any reason that we cannot meet on the 6th?
6th of
I-
November. I think we tossed this around, and it's, people are in and out, and I don't know, I think it's tough
No,
to.
people are up and down the stairs, but
No, I mean the 5 of us, people are in and out.
yeah,
but
we're not all there at the same time. In fact,
We have a quorum, but we don't, you know.
but we're not all there. And I'm not sure that we can actually
Oh,
focus
Mrs.
on the
Langham.
business at hand. So that's why I think the 6th wasn't,
well, the following,
we are also already doing a policy committee
Right,
meeting
but that's in
that
the
day.
afternoon.
Exactly.
we
So,
can either do it on Monday prior to,
which would be the 5th.
right? Wednesday I'm booked, Thursday I'm booked. The following week, I'm available on Monday, but that's Veterans Day. Tuesday's Planning Board, Wednesday I'm booked, Thursday I'm booked. The
Well,
following week, I'm
we don't
available
need 5
Monday. We
selectmen.
have a normal selectmen's
What?
meeting on Tuesday, and I think I'm free on Wednesday.
Just talking crazy here, I haven't looked at my calendar, but November 13th, could we try to meet like from 5:30 until the planning board starts?
Until 7.
See what we can do in an hour and a half?
5:30 is not always doable for all of us. I know we were very close to not even having a quorum the last time we tried doing a 5:30.
So how about 6 to 7, see what we can do?
I'm good with,
Isn't
But-
that the date that you asked the 2 chiefs to have their evaluations in by the 13th, right? Because I sent out an email to them. Was that it, Jim? Because I included you on that email.
I honestly did not
I
get a
think,
chance
I
to see
think
it.
it was the 13th.
so I'm good with meeting from 6 to 7. And then if we have sufficient, no offense to Jim, but
Well, I was just gonna say, as long as you have 3 members.
you know, I'm thinking we could even stay longer, depending on, you know, where we are with the budgets and the evaluations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be determined, because I might have been alone. I thought tonight's meeting was supposed to be 2 hours, and we're pushing 4 hours, so
Yeah,
Whatever-
a lot of stuff.
whatever.
was a lot.
timely.
Yeah, so whatever, you know, as long as we're not signing up to go 6 to 10.
No,
If-
No.
If we push to 7:30 and let Jim go upstairs at 7,
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Well, I know you probably have a manifest to do that day. And that's, if you don't have a full meeting, you're only going to have one full meeting, and that's going to be just before
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
right.
So
Yep.
think about it. I think you're going to want
so
to have a full
I
meeting.
think scheduling the 13th is the right thing to do.
Okay, and you have a full meeting then, and just have it downstairs?
Right, we're going to have it downstairs, and I wouldn't exactly call it a full meeting. It will be a quorum, it will be a selectmen's meeting, but I think we want to limit what we're actually covering on this meeting.
Okay, so just remember though, the 20th is Thanksgiving weekend, so whatever you don't cover then, you have to cover on the 20th.
Exactly, during
Okay.
our regularly scheduled selectmen's
So when
meeting.
you're here till 10 on the 20th.
That might be the incentive to get out of here a little sooner, but
Okay, so you want to meet on the November 13th, starting at 6.
correct.
Yep.
Okay.
What's the date?
November 13th, 6 o'clock.
And that's for the evaluations and then for the, actually, it's just for the evaluations, right?
Well,
Yeah,
no, you
I-
have
Evaluations
budget.
and
I don't
budgets.
think you're going to have time for budgets if you're doing all of the police and all of the fire.
Right, so if we get the police and fire, we've got to get it done.
Unless, Jim, how about them giving you,
I thought they had to submit their stuff by the 13th.
Yeah, I think it was just a deadline.
That means that if the deadline is the 13th,
And we meet on the 13th, that works, because it's after hours.
so you wouldn't have had a chance to review?
nobody would have had a chance to read them.
Well, I think November 13th definitely, and whatever we can do on that night, whether it's budgets or it's,
I would try to bang out as much of the budget as you could.
It
Yeah,
was my recommendation that they do spreadsheets. We could hopefully get the spreadsheets and send them out to you prior to the 13th. Maybe you can review those, and then it won't be so difficult to make your motions.
yeah, I mean, that works for me.
All right. So another recommendation, I would suggest you do budgets first then?
Yeah,
Because you're
well,
going to
well,
have,
I only say that because we're meeting downstairs.
You have to
A-
have
and
your
we gotta
evaluation.
have, we're gonna have library, tax collector, elections, which
You
again
need-
is the same person,
You
building.
need to have your evaluations in order for the payroll.
Exactly, and these people these departments may come to speak to their budget, and we're not gonna have a lot of room downstairs for them to speak to their budget.
so what are you proposing? Don't have the
I,
budget?
I'm proposing the evaluations, not the budgets.
Okay, so you don't want to do the budgets on the 13th?
Correct,
Then we need to pick a date for those budgets then.
What?
the budgets,
So it's almost 9:30 and I'm losing my,
Keen, sharp sense of
yeah, exactly. But,
knowledge.
so my thing is, having it downstairs should not, having enough room for people to sit shouldn't stop us. We'll probably only have one chief at a time. We can fit them in there. The door can be wide open, the public can come in if they want. I wouldn't want to come in if I was the public. But the budgets, I think we should shoot for the budgets, because the budgets are on that date, the 12th, and we're kind of like picking them up and moving them to the next day. But if we can do more than that, we should try.
I also think budgets should be televised, because that is critical information for the townspeople. Now, whether they're actually commenting on it or not, I still think it is information that should be on tape like it has been in the past.
So the only rebuttal I would have to that is we just reviewed all these budgets. People can't see this stuff right now. We review them and they review them in the town report, you know.
That's true. They're not being
It's tough. They're
scrutinized.
not, unless we rig something up where they can see it on TV and see the detail. And we don't even pass it out to the people who sit here.
But it's also the answering and the discussion about the budgets, which they do here.
That's where your public hearing comes in. The
That's true.
preparation is between the board and the
Yeah.
department head. But you've got your two biggest departments coming in for payroll stuff, and if you don't have those numbers, they can't complete the budget, so they're gonna be coming back again.
So I'll be here on the 13th at 6 o'clock, sitting down there. You put in front of
Whatever
me
you wanna
whatever you
do.
have, and
And
I'll
we'll
be
do it.
ready to go.
All right.
Exactly.
Sounds good.
So we are definitely meeting on the 13th.
But I just don't know what you're meeting for.
Exactly.
All right.
And that we don't have to know until the day before.
No non-publics other than if
Yeah,
you're doing
exactly. Yeah.
evaluations.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
the
Let's
compensation.
put budget/evaluations, we're gonna be doing one of them.
Yeah, but one's public and one's non-public.
Oh,
So we'll figure it out, don't worry.
All right, so we got the 13th, we'll leave it at that and then decide where we're going
Oh,
from
we
there.
have an announcement.
Yeah, I'm working on
Oh,
those.
okay, thank you.
I just wanted to finalize that
Okay.
second announcement so that we could move on to the rest of the
For
announcements.
November 13th, starting at 6 is all I'm going to put.
Correct,
For now, yeah.
for now. We don't know what the agenda will cover, but.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the final announcements. The board has promoted, advanced, what do we call it?
Is it change of pay rate?
Increased, placed.
Promoted.
So promoted Planning Board Administrator to grade 6, step 9 on the new matrix, effective 12/9/18. The board has voted to place the Recreation Secretary at grade 6, step 1 on the new matrix, effective 12/9/18. And the board has voted to put the transfer station attendant, Jack Kozak, because we have more than one, at grade 2, step 5 on the new matrix, effective 12/9/18.
That's it.
And that's all we need, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, if anybody doesn't have any...
Adjourn.
Thank you.
Second that?
second.
Seconded by Matt, all in favor? Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Diana, am I leaving this?